And this attack is causing a political firestorm around immigration. Joining us now, Scripps News congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed, live from New York City today. Nate, President Trump made some pretty strong comments on Truth Social last night. What's been the reaction to that?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Stephanie. And look, to be clear, this is by no means the first time the Trump administration has looked to go after immigration coming from Afghanistan. Of course, the war in Afghanistan, prompted by that rapid takeover of the government there by the Taliban after the U.S. pulled out in 2021, led to a somewhat chaotic situation. Lots of American government contractors, affiliates of intelligence agencies, including the CIA, much like the suspect in this case, coming over to the United States, granted temporarily protected status in the U.S. while their asylum cases were pending. This suspect is one such operative. He worked with an Afghan CIA-backed group in Afghanistan. Ultimately, he was granted asylum earlier this year during the Trump administration. At the same time, the president making clear that he will review the visas of many of these people who are in the United States as a result of course, the withdrawal from Afghanistan. The president posting on X and on Truth Social last night, in part, quote, "I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admissions." He continues that he will, quote, "end all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens of our country." Now, Stephanie, you and I both know all too well the presidency, just one of the three branches of government. A lot of questions about whether Congress would be willing to go along with this kind of plan. It's not exactly clear what the president's calling for here, whether this would eliminate federal benefits to all non-citizens. There are plenty of permanent residents here in the U.S. who are eligible for certain government services. Also, people who are here legally are also eligible for other services as well. So again, a lot of questions about exactly what this would look like. The Trump administration, though, making clear that they will conduct a review of the people who have received visas to enter the United States. And again, Stephanie, more questions than answers this morning, of course, about the status of that National Guardsman who remains, quote, fighting for his life, according to President Trump, along with the motive here for this Afghan national who was granted asylum earlier this year. The U.S. Attorney for the District of D.C., Jeanine Pirro, saying that she will prosecute this case to the fullest extent of the law yesterday. And again, so many more questions than answers at this hour about why this happened, what the motive was here, and again, how this could happen in a city that has seen a surge of federal law enforcement, including the very National Guard who fell victim to Wednesday's attack.
Exactly, Nate, and it's something important to remember in immigration and migration situations like this. The president might stop processing new applications, but that can't necessarily stop people from booking a flight into the U.S. or trying to cross the southern border, because you are required to be on U.S. soil in order to apply for immigration. Do you think, or not immigration, in order to apply for asylum, you have to be on U.S. soil? Nate, I know Congress has a lot on their agenda, healthcare probably being the top thing they're going to talk about when they come back next week. But do you expect any kind of immigration reform to potentially come up in light of the shooting we saw this week?
Immigration reform has proven to be elusive for Congress. I mean, look, this is something they've tried to address in Democratic and Republican administrations with no luck whatsoever. And ultimately, there's a question of whether Congress will act on this, whether President Trump will compel Republicans in Congress to put forward a bill. There have been a number of individual lawmakers who've put forward bills in the past to change our nation's immigration system. At this point, none of them have the bipartisan support necessary to pass through Congress. And again, a lot of questions about exactly what would change here. Remember, President Trump put back into place that ban on travel from a number of Muslim-majority countries, including Afghanistan, much earlier this year. Now they're saying they're going to crack down on immigration. Again, it's not clear how much more secure things can get from where they are right now, or what can be changed policy-wise without, of course, an act of Congress and a law on President Trump's desk, or signed by President Trump. So, again, a lot more questions than answers about exactly what the retaliation is going to look like from the Trump administration in reaction, of course, to this heinous attack on Wednesday.
And even if, someone can do everything right, someone can go through all the steps, we can have all the protections in place, but unfortunately, the world we live in, bad things can still happen. Scripps News congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed live for us in New York City this morning. Nate, thank you.